Lifetime page. You know, we're just, it's a blessing to be here tonight. If you are just tuning in, I can tell you without fear of successful contradiction, the Clark Sisters, First Lady of Gospel movie that debuts on Lifetime tomorrow night at 8 p.m., 7 Central, is going to be the movie event of the season. I can tell you. However you are spending Resurrection Weekend, you have to make this movie a part of your celebration. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you shout. And it's also, I believe, going to bring you closer to God. I do believe that. So today we have the legendary Karen Clark Sheard. We also have, she is a legend in the making, you know, Kiki Sheard, you know, Kierra Sheard. And so we're just excited. Thank you all for being here. Now, before we get in, okay, Sister Karen, First Lady Karen, can you let people know that you are not driving right now?
No, I'm not driving. I'm not driving. No, I'm going to obey the laws of the land and get off this phone.
Amen. I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't want, you know, there might be some nervous people right now commenting, you know, saying, hey, are you driving and doing the interview at the same time? Yeah, so I'm glad we got that out the way, and Bishop is driving you. All our love to Bishop. We love him. You know, we truly wouldn't be where we are in the faith without him. So we give him his credit and his reward. So I want to start with you, Sister Karen, if we could. What was it like, first of all, when they came to you to say, we want to do this movie on your life and your sister's lives? And then the second part is, how did you react when you were told that they wanted your daughter to play you?
Well, I was just ecstatic. I was so excited. It was like, oh, I'm like just like a little kid. Like, what? They gonna tell a story on? I mean, the world is gonna see. So it's like I was thinking within myself. I was saying, well, God, you know, you answering our prayer, because we had some moments in our life where, you know, was we forgotten about. And, you know, where we still being thought of. They forget about the Clark sisters, but thank God, you know, we had a huge platform such as Lifetime, and shout out to Lifetime to, approach us about our life story. So I was just too ecstatic that, you know, that the door was open. And that was like, I felt like this is a milestone in our life to see that, you know, the world would literally know our life story and learn about our trials. It hasn't always been, you know, a piece of cake, but we've had some moments, so they'll get a chance to see how we persevere through and how we're here today.
Amen. Amen. And what did you react? How did you react when they came to you and said, you know, we think Kiki should play you?
Well, I'm thinking like, my daughter's gonna play me. I was just like a proud. I was like a soccer mom. I was just like godly proud. I was just so godly proud. You know, I'm like sitting back and even watching her, how she developed. She's so gifted in so many areas. But when they told me she was going to be an actress, I was like, look at God. He just passed down gifts to this family. And she totally just, took me to, I'm thinking like, okay, God, you just bless this family, you know, and to see. And the thing I love about it is that she had mentioned to me about how she appreciated, you know, learning about our life story. But let me go to the funny part first. She said to me, Mom, you know, they want me to learn you and some of your notes that you hit. So it was one song that she was singing, and they said, we want you to learn that note. And she tried to learn that note. She said, Mom, I was about to kill myself trying to sing that note. And that just really brought laughter to me. It really did. So I'm just proud, just godly proud and thankful that they got her to play me. She's my mini me, you know.
Yes, I can see. So Kiki,
Hey.
First of all, I want to unpack this. this is this is the biggest acting role you've done, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so were you nervous, and did the thought of playing your mother terrify you?
Actually, to be honest, I didn't really want to do it. I had to have some people talk some sense into me, and those persons were Dr. Holly and my father and my mom also. And they all were like, "Do you know that this bigger than what you think it is? This ain't no little movie. This is something major." And this is the biggest role, though. I was nervous about it, and I actually auditioned for my mom and my aunt Niecy, because a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people, well, my family have said, my cousins have said that I remind them with my bold personality. I remind them of my Aunt Niecy. And so I wanted to be the one to kind of add the drama to the story. And I was excited about that. But I got picked for my mom. And like I said, I was nervous. At first, I didn't want to do it, but I'm glad I had a village around me to talk some sense into me, because I totally could have missed a great opportunity.
And let's talk about that for a moment. What was your biggest fear?
My biggest fear was the Hollywood pressure that I hear about. And I was concerned that maybe I wouldn't be good enough, or that I wouldn't do like I was supposed to. And I mean, I'm sure some of us can relate. We hear some really positive notes that come with Hollywood, and we hear some really negative notes that come with Hollywood, or even just the acting field. So that was my biggest fear. I just wanted to do it right. And then I know that the Clark sisters, their fans are like the Beehive. Like, if you don't get it right, they come and
right.
So I really wanted to make it special. But once I got into the role, to be honest, I shifted gears mentally, and my focus shifted. And I said, wait a minute, this is me playing a role of my mom. So this is like a huge way to honor your mom, to say I love you, and to say I respect what you have done, because now this is personal for me. So I shifted gears, and I said, I want to do this for mommy. And that's it. The pressure, it went harder, but it just became more special for me. So it kind of helped me shift my focus.
Wow. And I can only imagine that you were able to draw on your upbringing. I mean, this is a woman that you know probably better than most people on this earth. And so to be able to draw from that experience, I can only imagine only enriched your character as you played her.
Absolutely. And I have to be honest, while I am very like my mom, I'm a lot like my father. So I had to remember to not talk so much. Like, I'm quick to like take up. I'm the oldest, and my mom is more reserved, and she's like used to them protecting her. And so I had to know when to come out the gate and when to just sit back and chill. So my mom is like this quiet storm, and I'm just like, I'm the storm in the building. Where you at? Like, that's actually
right.
So I kind of had to relax, but it was a huge learning lesson. Like, she's a beautiful person all the way around. I learned so much as far as like keeping your composure, not letting anybody move you. Stay peaceful. Know about the peace that surpasses all. Know to let some people fight the battle, and know when to come out the gate as like a monster and like say I'm in the room. So it was really intriguing, and it was a huge learning experience for me as just a human being. So it was really an honor to play this role of my mom.
Wow. And very few people, in the world get that opportunity. I'll never forget a movie that I was involved in years ago was The Pursuit of Happiness. Yeah. And I worked on that when I was an executive for Sony. And I'll never forget when we were going through that casting process, and Will said, I want Jaden, his real son, to play his son in the movie. And it was like, everybody thought, oh, you're crazy. Can he even act? And lo and behold, he goes in there and almost steals the show. So I can only imagine, those fears of like, well, can Kiki do it? And then now to see that it seems like you've done it. But I want to ask Sister Karen, did she do it?
Oh my goodness. She hit it out the park. Oh, she deserved an Oscar?
Yeah, an Oscar, or for TV, maybe an Emmy. But, you get the point.
Teach us, please.
She was phenomenal. When I tell you, it was like, it was really, really like Kierra had been doing that, in that field for years. I mean, she did an exceptional job, along with the other ladies that that did a great job as well. You know, their
Mhm.
singing, from their singing down to their acting, was just impeccable.
Wow.
Really.
Wow. And so, Sister Karen, did you go down to set? Did you go while they were shooting?
Yes, I was one of the executive producers,
Mhm.
along with my husband, and of course
Oh,
we
right on.
all the sisters were, because they approached us about telling the story. That's actually how the movie developed. They approached each one of us and asked our different experiences, and just you know all of a sudden, I mean, we all came up with the same story, but each person's experience was different. So, which
Mm.
made it so, exciting for them to work with. So, I went down there, and to answer your question, yes, I went down there and I was on set, and they told me, is this the way this scene really went? And then I said, no, not quite. I said, no, that wasn't my mother's demeanor. No, she has to correct that. So the director, she listened to me and she corrected this thing. So they pretty much gave me, that platform to use my producing skills.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. And as you were on set, very few people in the history of the world ever get a chance to have their life made into a movie. So, ever. So you're in like the rarest of air right now. When you were on set, was there a moment that made you emotional? When the magnitude maybe of this whole project hit you.
Ooh, you hit it right on the nail. I had several moments because all I could think of is the actual time of when it happened, because it's true story. So it's like I'm sitting there, you know visualizing what literally happened, you know that during that particular scene. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden tears coming down my face. So the director looks at me and said, yes, we got it, we hit it, because they kept doing it over and over again. And then finally, when we were watching, because we had the screens in front of us while they were acting,
Yeah.
and I'm looking, and tears just all of a sudden just rolled down my face in several scenes. And the director said, yes, we nailed it. We nailed it. We got her. Do you see the tears in her eyes? We got it. We got it. So yeah, it was emotional moments that I had.
Wow. Wow.
And
That's amazing.
and
Absolutely amazing.
what? And then especially the part at the funeral. Kierra nailed that. She did. Oh my God, she hit that. That was such that was like a roller coaster. I was just on an emotional roller coaster then, because I had happy moments of thinking about my mother's amazing life at the funeral, and then I had sad moments because we had one dear sister of ours that wanted to come up there and do her thing. And I'm like, you're not going to mess up this funeral. And Kierra just nailed it. And she just hit me to the T. So, yeah.
So, Kierra, Kiki, in that moment, in that scene, had you conferred with your mother on how to do that? Or did you just go for it and do what felt right?
So she was actually there that day when we did the scene of the funeral. So she corrected it on the spot because I was still in my reserve disposition. And she was like, I wasn't chill then. She said, I spoke up on this part. So that's when she confirmed. And of course, once she gave me the green light to act silly and to act like Detroit, I was like, all right, great, let's go for it. So it was with her being on the set, I did have to shift gears there. And that's when she said, again, I wasn't reserved here because at this moment I have a overwhelming sensation of emotions because my mother, we're burying my mother, and my sister is doing something really weird right now. So I'm responding in this moment because now I'm older, I have children, I've learned to like really voice myself now. So I was glad to hear that, and she did correct that because she was on set that day. And I was so proud, like, go on, mama, you in your director's chair and all of that. So it was really cool.
But it's great that you actually took the direction, you know, because a lot of times that may not be the case, especially in a mother-daughter relationship. You know, it speaks to how well you all get along, because some daughters could have said, Mom, look, you know, let the director give me the note. I don't want the note from you.
Exactly.
Speaking of notes and hitting notes, let's talk about the music in this movie. Again, for those of you that just tuned in, we have the legendary Karen Clark Sheard right now. We have Kiki Sheard. Kiki stars as her mother, Karen Clark Sheard, in the Clark Sisters movie, The First Ladies of Gospel, which debuts tomorrow night on Lifetime, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central, the movie event of the season. You've got to see it. Don't just DVR it, watch it. Everybody's going to be live tweeting it. You've got to make sure your family has it on your Easter schedule. So, but in terms of hitting notes, so Kiki, what was that like in terms of, you know, one, understanding how to I'm assuming you had to reframe how you sang to sing like your mother. And was Donald Lawrence, you know, the music supervisor, and how helpful was he in that process? And how difficult was it overall for you to do that, to make sure that the music was right?
So actually, I can honestly say that my vocal range has stretched from trying to sound like my mom. She's a true soprano. I'm more of like an alto who can maybe sing some soprano parts. So it was a huge challenge, but it was a great challenge for me as a singer and for my career. I call him Uncle Donald. He's brilliant. To see how well of a student he was, while I look at him as a legend and a master in music, it's like I was just floored by how humbled he was and how much of a fan of the Clark Sisters he is as well. And to know how well he knew the sound. So his direction, just the way he directs and studies music, he's very precise and he articulates very well the sound that he's looking for. And he would say, right here, you sound like Kierra, you need to give me, like, he would tell me how to posture my mouth so that I could give off this airy sound with, you know, to sound like my mom. So it was really special and really exciting. It was a challenge. Like I told my mom, I was like, you are like an alien, because I'm sitting here trying to hit your notes and I'm getting lightheaded. Like I'm losing head oxygen because you sing so high. And then I actually had to ask, I bonded so well with her, Angela, who played Auntie Jackie. I had to ask her for help because I couldn't, I'm so embarrassed to say this, but I couldn't hit a lot of my mom's notes. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but I need help. I'm tapping out. So that was my experience with music.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. I'll never forget when when Lifetime dropped that first sizzle piece. I don't think it was a sizzle. I think it was a scene of you all in the studio. You know, I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be crazy," because the harmony, the music was unbelievable. You know, and I grew up with Shalea, so I've known her my whole life. Okay. And so when I saw her in that clip and you all, I said, "Oh boy, we about to have a real good time," because that music was so strong. And you know, and Sister Karen, what was your thoughts on the music in the movie? Did they get it right?
Oh my goodness, they got it so right. And you know what? I told them when I said, so y'all, when we first went down there to see them do their first performance, when we first saw them, I said, so y'all out singing us. Oh yeah, y'all gonna do it like that. Y'all.
That's right. You know they had to come correct now. You know they had to come correct.
I mean, they did an impeccable job. And then, you know, with Donald Lawrence, he can tell the stories of all of the songs. He knows us. He's just, you know, that's why we had him as our producer, because he knows us. And so he gels with us so good. So I mean, it's like it's almost like they had it so right until Donald said, okay, if y'all don't get it right, we're not doing this song, and I maybe that's Kierra can vouch with me on that one.
Absolutely. He was not playing. Like if it wasn't right, he was not moving on from it, or we're gonna have to try another song. Like he was so serious and so sincere about the sound. So I think that's what made the music so special, because it was like he relived Auntie Twinkie all over again. And because he had actually had like that personal experience with them, and he studied them, I was just blown away. And I'm like, this is a true like master at music. Like he's like a professor at what he does. So I have to agree with Mama. He was not playing with it, and I love seeing his passion for it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I want to come back to music in a minute, but something just dawned on me. Kiki, or should I call you Kierra? Kiki, Kierra, Kiki. I see your mom says Kierra. Everybody call you Kiki, so I'll stay with Kiki for now. Okay. Did you discuss? Very few people get a chance to render their parent on screen. Yeah. Where they have to literally put themselves in the shoes of their parent, right? Because a lot of times as children, we don't always understand the sacrifices that our parents went through. And a lot of times growing up, we're mad, or we say things we don't necessarily mean because we don't actually have the perspective. Through doing this film, what did you learn about your mother that you maybe appreciated more after doing the film than before doing the film?
What I appreciate about my mom most, and excuse me if I get like drama filled and cry eye and all of that.
That's all right. Let it out. It's okay.
But one thing that I keep getting emotional when I talk about her, because when you think she's not thinking something, she's praying about it. And when she's not saying something, she's praying about it. And sometimes the people around her may ask, do you have anything to say? When she will have said it all to the Lord. Like I've learned that about my mom. And the reason I say she's a quiet storm is because she's very observing. She's observing, and she doesn't point out everything, which I would say is like a load of wisdom, a wealth of knowledge, and on how to just live life. And again, like I said, not let everything move you. Don't let everybody know what you about to do. And that's common. Well, now it's not common sense because everybody don't have common sense, but it's wise to know that you shouldn't let everybody know what's your next move. And so that's what I've learned about my mom, is she consults with the Lord. Like she literally has conversations with heaven. And when it seems like there's a war around her, she just sits still. It's almost like, not to be super deep, but literally how Jesus was in that storm in the boat, and the disciples were like, hello, do you see what's going on? She's the youngest, but she's walking and handling it like Jesus. And so that's what I've noticed about my mom. Again, that it can be a war, a battle, but she's so strong, and you never see anything move her. I see my mom cry and show emotion, but it's hardly ever moments of where it's like it's breaking her. I've not seen anything just break her. And she can gracefully tell somebody, look, get out of my face. We ain't doing that right now. And it's never, it's just, right. Listen, I'm not doing that with you. And I've learned that about her, and I love it. So even with her, just seeing what her mom went through, because if I had seen that with my mom, having that challenge with my father, learning about the abuse and the opposition from the church, and seeing how much my mom had put into the church, I probably would have tapped out. I probably wouldn't have been a heathen. But somehow she stuck to her faith, and she just kept it going. So those are some things that I learned about my mom. She didn't spaz out on her sisters when her sisters were disrespectful to her mom. Whereas with me in real life, with me and my brother, when we were growing up, we spazzed out on each other if you said something out of line to mom or daddy. So that's what I've learned about her. I could go on and on, so I'll stop there as the quiet director.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so, Sister Karen, what did you learn about your daughter that maybe you did not know before this process?
Wow. Well, of course, one, the acting skills. And I learned that, of course, when they began to set up the filming, and she had to go down there for, I think, like 2 months or something like that. And she went down there on her own, and I was just so concerned about her. And so she would call me, we talk every day. And I said, maybe I need to be down there with my daughter to cover and protect her. But I'm finding out every day and just like she said, she has similarities to her father. See, of course, I was the youngest one in the Clark sisters. And of course, I was always sheltered. I had my big sisters, to fight for me. And, I never had to really, go into, hold, fighting for myself, because I had some big sisters. But now that I'm grown, it's a different story, but but you would never know, as Kiki say, you wouldn't know that. You're not gonna see me sweat. But however, she has some characteristics, some wonderful characteristics of her father. And of course, she gracefully I was just something that was going on down there, and I had a few concerns about it. Then when I got down there, hey, she handled it. She handled it with excellence, and I knew she could hold her own. But in a situation like this, working with the movie, she's on the grounds where she's never been on. You're in front of people that you've never dealt with, and to see how she held her own and in a godly way without going ghetto. I was just so proud of her that she, gracefully handled it, and said, oh no, I'm not going to be taken advantage of just because I'm a Christian woman. You're still going to know that I'm a Christian woman after I finish telling you off. So I'm like, oh, that's characteristics of her mother and her dad. Yeah, it's a whole lot of things that I learned about her, during this movie.
Wow, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. I mean, again, how often do mother and daughter get a chance to learn about one another through such an incredible experience as a film? And I know that the world cannot wait to see this film tomorrow night, debuting on Lifetime, 8:00, 7 Central. I'm so excited about the film. A few more questions, and then we're going to let y'all get on to the next one, which is, we're all dealing with a difficult time right now. We're doing this interview virtually because we're all pretty much sheltering in place because of the pandemic. I want to start with you, Sister Karen, and I want Kiki to get your perspective on this. Sister Karen, one of the things I think is so amazing about your story is the ability to endure through difficult times. What would you say to someone watching right now that is going through a difficult time about how to endure?
I would say to stay focused on this amazing Christ. This time we don't understand. Nobody could really explain what's happening. I mean, it's getting hit on every level of, professional level. I mean, the churches are getting hit, the leaders are the pastors. So it's like God wants to get our attention. So my thing is take this moment out to establish a relationship with God and know that he's your only hope. And because we can't turn to nothing else. They haven't even found a cure. And my thing is right now, the only cure that I know and that I've seen so far is that prayer is the weapon and the cure is God. Because but you have to have that. This ain't like I've been praying. I just started praying for last week. No, I have a prayer that I do every week, and I pray every day. But I have a certain prayer that I do every week at my church. And many people who may not go to church, this is your time to try God. You know, maybe God wants to get your attention and have a moment with you. This is your time to get that moment and stay focused, so that, because I'm in a trial right now, you know, we're getting hit personally in our family. You know, my husband's mother and father, you know, they contracted the virus. But to see how God has given us peace through this, oh my God, it's amazing. It makes me serve God even more. To even see how awesome this God is that he can hold your hand through this. He can give you peace in the storm. I didn't think I would be here until I realized, wow, I've heard people tell their testimony, but now I have the testimony of experiencing this amazing God that will give you peace in the midst of it, and see results on top of that, of what your prayer, of the prayer that you've been praying.
Amen.
So just hold on and stay focused and stay prayerful.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And Kiki, how will this movie, and seeing this movie tomorrow night on Lifetime, how is this movie going to help somebody who may feel a little down right now about what's going on in the world?
I think it'll be a way of encouragement, because you see these women falling back on their faith. And while there's so many other things outside of their faith that could knock them off course, they have each other to depend on. So it's kind of showing resources or giving solutions on how we can even deal with this this epidemic, with this challenge that we're doing. Like, if you're in the room with your family, figure out how, this is what I've learned from the movie, but figure out how to restore certain relationships, not trying to find out what's wrong with the person, but what can I do better about myself so that I'm standing differently and posturing myself different just in through life. But also finding out what your passions are. Maybe you could look at my grandmother and see how passionate she was about her purpose in the earth. And while, again, she had so much opposition, she still had a plan. She had a way to restructure and just evaluate some things. She held herself accountable, but she also applied pressure to people that meant the most around her. And sometimes we could be so busy doing our thing and become selfish individuals that we forget to empower each other. And I believe that this too, in this space, in this quarantining space, we're learning to find that way of connection. Like, while we may be so into, while we have to isolate, but while we may be so into ourselves, I think that God is showing us a way to make sure we show love to each other. And you see that in families. While we have so much division with families nowadays, and everybody's like, who's your boyfriend, who's your girlfriend, find your friends. It's just friends. It's no familial connections, which there are some familial, because the word says he'll give you a friend that sticks closer than a brother. So I think it's so important that we find that, we see that. It's so empowering. But again, just looking at ourselves and evaluating and going back to that piece on love, I see that. And the accountability, don't be afraid of accountability, because this generation says, do your thing, move at your own pace, don't worry about anybody else. But from where I come from, the word says that a fool despises correction. And unfortunately, we've become a generation who don't like correction. We don't want nobody telling us nothing. So it even kind of highlights that part with the mother-daughter parental relationship with their children, to remember it's okay that they're like your angels. They're your angels that God assigned to you. So I think it's so much in this movie. And then there are just great songs to uplift you as well.
Nice. And I love that. You know, we do need some uplift right now. Yeah. And I love that the movie can help heal relationships, but also inspire everyone that watches it. Now, I believe that people are going to turn on the TV and they're going to be running around their houses by the time the movie is over, just giving God praise. I mean, they are going to be uplifted without a doubt. Speaking of which, you know, I hear that the soundtrack has just dropped, and that the people can listen now to the music from the movie. How exciting is that for you all to have songs out there now that coincide with the film?
I'm excited about it, so that even, you know, those that didn't come up when we did, like like Queen Latifah and Mary J. Blige
Yeah.
and Missy Elliott and those women of their caliber, you know, they came up listening at our music. You got the Snoop Dogg, you know, who, I mean, he knew all of the lyrics on a couple of our old songs. So those songs, it's exciting to know that we're able to pass it down to the next generation, so they really know how we got started and hear the sound. And so that's exciting. And to know that Twinkie was just an impeccable writer. She was anointed to do what she do. She wrote all our music. So that's something that I'm glad that they'll get a chance to hear.
Wow. Wow. What a blessing. What a blessing. I mean, truly, like, I don't know. I mean, this may have just been for me. You all have inspired me today. I'm hoping that everyone who has been watching has been inspired. I'm going to say it one more time before we close. If you're watching this live right now, you have to go ahead right now and put in your schedule, in your phone, to tune in tomorrow night, Lifetime, the Clark Sisters, First Lady of Gospel movie, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central. You've got to make it a part of your Resurrection weekend. You've got to make it a part of your Easter celebration. It is not only just the Holy Ghost good time, but to what we have discussed right now, it can bring healing to your family. It can show you the power of God and the power of sisterhood. Yeah. That's what I love about this film and how it puts that on display. I'm the middle child of 3 boys. My grandmother had 7 sisters, 6 of which are still living. And so I understand the power of when women of God get together, they can change the world. So I want to thank you, Sister Karen, for 1, doing what you did, because you have changed the world, and 2, being open to tell your story. And Sister Kiki, thank you for answering the call. I'm so glad you didn't let your fear block your blessing. It is a blessing that you said yes, and now the world can see. We love you. We are praying for your grandparents. We're praying for the recovery in a mighty way. We're just praying God's favor and God's healing over them right now. And we're just so grateful that you would spend this time with us. And everybody, tune into Facebook. You know what to do. Go ahead tomorrow night, tune into this film, and let's just blow up Twitter. Let's just blow up the business, and let us let the business know. Let us send a message to Lifetime that these are the types of movies that we want to see more of. And matter of fact, why don't we just go ahead and put the industry on notice that we need more? And we're going to start with the Clark Sisters. Love you all. God bless you. Happy Resurrection Sunday.
Love you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care now.
Thank you.